Hello students, so this is your social science teacher. Today in this lesson we are going to have the discussion regarding the topic that is Mughal Empire, and this is the 7th chapter. Now let us understand how this Mughal they came to India, how they captured our India, and who were the people ruling India before the Mughals arrived in India. So these are and how they made the achievement, contribution to the art, architecture. So these are the important topics that we are going to cover in this lesson. Here it is given in this chapter you will be able to learn about the Mughal rulers, next how they ruled especially our northern part of India, the contribution of the Mughal to the literature, art and architecture. So these are the important topics that we are going to have the discussion in this video. Here we go. First of all, this Mughal dynasty it was started by the person that is called Babur. He established the Mughal Empire in the year 1526 CE Common Era. Now let us understand a little bit background information about the Babur. And the Mughal Empire it was started obviously by this Babur, and he originally belonged to the Turkestan. Here is the Turkish kingdom, and this is the mother means land where this our Babur belongs to. And his father Umar Sheikh Mirza was the king of the small kingdom in his country, that is Turkestan. And obviously these were provinces in one country that is called Afghanistan. Basically we can say our Babur invaded India, or Babur came to India from country that is called Afghanistan. And already we know that. So when his father, Babur's father, he was a king in Afghanistan, Pargana we can say. So at the early age of Babur, his father died, and when father Babur died, our Babur was only 11-year-old. Now he had to lose his kingdom due to the conspiracy of his own relatives and enemies. So finally he had to lead his life like a nomadic. Nomadic means the person who doesn't have permanent place, they are called nomad. And because of the conspiracy, the plan made by his own relatives and enemies, then Babur he had to lose his kingdom. And after losing his kingdom, so all these situation motivated Babur to invade our India. So how he invaded India? Let us understand. First of all, Babur invaded India for about 5 times. Remember here. So before this first battle of Panipat took place, Babur planned to make attack on India. For about 5 times, attack was made by Babur on India. Babur, he defeated Delhi Sultan Ibrahim Lodi in the Battle of Panipat in the year 1526 and established the Mughal dynasty in India. This battle is known as the first battle of Panipat, remember here. So we can understand here, before the Babur invaded India, our India was being ruled by Delhi Sultan, and the last Delhi Sultan ruler obviously Ibrahim Lodi, and he was not that much strong. So because of that reason, the battle took place between Babur and Ibrahim Lodi. Here Ibrahim Lodi and he is a Babur, and in this battle, obviously this battle took place nearby Delhi, and for about few kilometers away from the Delhi, their capital, one place is there, that is a Panipat. In this Panipat only the battle took place. In this battle, our Babur got victory and Ibrahim Lodi was defeated. And this battle is called first battle of Panipat. Now let me make you understand, there are totally 3 battle of Panipat. So this is the first one, and whenever the battle of Panipat took place, the course of Indian history got changed. So after the end of the first battle of Panipat, obviously the Mughal dynasty began in India and Delhi Sultan dynasty came into an end. Here it is clearly given, Delhi was made a capital city of Babur, and over a period of 4 years he defeated for about so many rulers, especially Rana Pratapa Singha of Mewar, Rajput kings of many, we can say Ibrahim Lodi's brother, that is Muhammad Lodi. So finally our Babur started to rule India in the year 1526. Next, he ruled India only for 4 years. So that is 1530, we can say 1530. This is the year in which that he died. In this 4 year period of his rule, he had to defeat so many rulers. Obviously, when he came to India, the way ahead him was not that much smooth. He had to face the so many enemies, especially Rana Pratap Singh of Mewar. Rajput kings were also here in the Rajasthan. Many Rajput rulers, they were ruling India, this part of India, and they were not ready to accept this Babar as a king of India. They wanted to take the revenge. They wanted to defeat him. And Ibrahim Lodi's brother, that is Muhammad Lodi, he was trying such opportunity where he could take the revenge against his Babar, because Babar was the person who defeated Ibrahim Lodi. After the end of 4 year rule by Babar, obviously Babar died in the year 1530, and after the end of his father, Babar, his son, that is Humayun, came to power, means he became the king of India. Now let us understand how Humayun ruled our India after the end of his father rule, that is Babar. Obviously we know that Humayun was the eldest son of the Babar, and obviously we know, which means that Babar was having so many sons, but among them totally there were 4 sons Babar was having. Among them that Humayun was the elder son. So he had to face so many tough challenges when he came to power in the year 1530. Such problems of unstable and disparate kingdom, the trouble from the Afghan and enmity of the Bahadur Shah Zafar from Gujarat, and hostility of his own brother. So completely, when Humayun became the king of India, ahead him the way was not that much smooth. He had to defeat so many enemies. Remember, especially many people who were ruling Afghanistan, they wanted to attack on India. And in India, obviously, Humayun was the king of India. So he had to defeat the Afghan people. Next one, enmity of Bahadur Shah Zafar in Gujarat. And there was one more ruler, Bahadur Shah Zafar was also one of the strongest ruler at that time, ruling few parts of the Gujarat. And hostility of his own brother also, this is also one of the cause, because of which that at initial stage of Humayun rule, he was in the trouble. Remember, already we know that Babar was having brothers, and brothers, they were not ready to accept this Humayun as a king of India, because few of them, they wanted to be the king of India. So he had to defeat his own brother to continue as a king of India. Now see, Babar conquered the Kalinjar fort, Daura, Jaunpur, Chanar fort, and many other forts were captured in his ruling. Humayun, who was defeated by Sher Shah Suri, brought shelter in the Sindh province and came back to the power after the death of the Sher Shah Suri. Remember here, he is a Sher Shah Suri, so the founder of the Sur dynasty. And there was a battle between Humayun and Sher Shah Suri. In this battle, Sher Shah Suri was very strong, powerful, and he was very skilled in the war tactic. Because of this reason, our Humayun was defeated and Sher Shah Suri got victory. And after that one, Humayun went back to his mother country, that is Afghanistan. He came from Afghanistan because his forefathers belonged to Afghanistan. So after getting defeated under the hand of this Sher Shah Suri, Babar had to move back to his mother country, that is Afghanistan. But after for about 15-20 years, when he came to know that Sher Shah Suri was died in India, again he came back to India and he continued his ruling in India. So we can say for about few years, nearly 15 to 20 years, Sher Shah Suri, after getting defeated under the hand of the Sher Shah Suri, Humayun, he had to roam like a nomad life, means he did not get any permanent shelter. He had to take the shelter or support of his own relatives or friends. But when he came to realized that Sher Shah Suri, who defeated Humayun in his one of the war, now this person was killed or died in India, again he came back to India and he continued his rule in India. Now after the end of Humayun, his son, that is Akbar, came to the power, the most famous Mughal king. He was born in Amarkot in Sindh province. Obviously this Sindh province now it is located in the present Pakistan. So that when Humayun was roaming from one place to another place after getting defeated by Sher Shah Suri, Akbar was born. Humayun was his father. Huminda Banu Begum was a mother. So this is the little information about the early life of Akbar, because Akbar is very important and very famous ruler in India. Next, one more important aspect, one of the important development that took place during the rule of the Akbar, that is second battle of Panipat. Remember here. So that the second battle of Panipat took place between Mughals, and there was one more ruler, that is Hemu. So he was also one of the important ruler who was ruling in the eastern part of India. Finally in this battle, obviously our Akbar got victory, and again we can say Akbar, he formed his own rule in India. And remember here, when this second battle of Panipat was happening, then Bahram Khan, he was the commander of Akbar, he was leading the army. Now let us understand what are the important contributions given by Akbar to the various fields. First of all, Akbar religious policy. Akbar could break the chain of the orthodox due to his close interaction with his mother, teacher and Sufi saint. He had followed the Rajput wives to perform the puja in his palaces. So already you might have seen Jodha Akbar. Jodha was the wife of the Akbar. That lady belongs to Rajput king. So that Rajput prince both got married each other. Akbar, how he was tolerant toward the other religion, that shows that the puja was performed in the court of Akbar, and this was done by Jodha, the wife of Akbar. So this is one best example we can understand. Akbar was very tolerant toward the other religion. Next one, Akbar, he had ordered against the harassing the women and children of the enemy state. He had also ordered not to arrest any Hindus and who did not take part in the war and turn them into the slave. There was system, if any Hindus they did not get involved in the war in the support of the ruler, then there was a practice of making them as a slave, and this was first time it was cancelled by Akbar. And other aspect regarding the religious policy that Akbar has followed, he abolished the jizya tax that was merely imposed on Hindus. Remember here, there was a tax which was fixed on especially Hindus, so that tax is called as a jizya, and this was being imposed on Hindus since many years, or we can say centuries, because when India was being ruled by Delhi Sultan, at that time this jizya tax was introduced on Hindus, and that tax was abolished by Akbar. So this is also one of the best example that we can say Akbar was very tolerant toward the other religion, and he translated Hindu religious books into the Persian language, and he also showed the respect toward the qualified Hindus by appointing them in high position in the court of Akbar. Especially example, Raja Todarmal was a famous minister of finance, means finance department was handed over to the Raja Todarmal who belonged to the Hindus. This shows that he was also the person who used to give credit to the merit. Next one, Akbar directed the festival of the Rakhi, Deepavali and Shivratri and other festivals Hindus were celebrated. Permission was given to the celebration even in his court. So these are the important contribution of Akbar, especially related to the religion. Next, other important aspect that we should understand. So Deen-e-Ilahi, this is the new religion. New religion started by Akbar. Remember, this is the new religion started by Akbar in the year 1582. The best aspect of all religions, these were included in his new religion, that is Deen-e-Ilahi. Now let us understand Akbar contribution in the administrative system. So what kind of the administrative system that Akbar was having? Akbar established the many hierarchies in his army, and this is called Mansabdari system. For first time, this Mansabdari system was introduced by Akbar. So that in what is meant by Mansabdari system? This is hierarchies in army, like classes were divided, and in another way we can say the people who were working in the army, so they had to work in the administration, and the people who got involved in the administration, they were appointed as the commander in the army. So this kind of the hierarchies were introduced for first time by the Akbar, and these are called Mansabdari system. Now there were cavalry, infantry, cannon units, elephant units. So these are the important units which were as a part of army in Akbar. So that cavalry means the person who is to fight on the on horse. Infantry means the person who is to fight on foot, and elephant units were also there, and many others, even topes were also used. So this is the system that Akbar he was using when he was ruling our India. And there were also a separate department to stamp on the horse known as Dag Mahali. So this is quite important, one of the important contribution that Akbar has introduced. And what are the important contribution given by Akbar to the architecture, especially in the construction of the buildings and all? Remember here, this is Akbar Mahal, which was also constructed by Akbar. Today also you can get to see this one. So Akbar Mahal, Fatehpur Sikri, Diwan-e-Sheikh, Panch Mahal. So not only this one, various buildings were constructed by Akbar. And here it is a Fatehpur Sikri. These are Diwan-e-Khas. So how structurally means how these are beautifully structured. So these are the important contribution made by Akbar. So this is Fatehpur Sikri, and many more palaces, Birbal Mahal, buildings. So many things were constructed by Akbar. These are the important contribution made by Akbar. After the end of the Akbar, his elder son, that is Jahangir, came to the power. He started to rule our India after the end of his father, that is Akbar, we can say. And he provided the good administration and continued all the practices which were followed by Akbar. And he had a personal as well as matrimonial relations with the Rajput, means he was having good relationship with all the small Rajput kings. So, and after the Jahangir, his son, that is Shah Jahan, became the king of India. Whenever you see the word Shah Jahan, only the things that comes into our mind, that is his contribution, especially in architecture. See, remember here Taj Mahal was constructed. This is already we are very well aware about the Shah Jahan. Now this much that everybody should understand. Remember, especially this part of India was covered as a part of the Shah Jahan, means Akbar rule. After the end of the Shah Jahan, his son, Shah Jahan's son, that is Aurangzeb, became the king of India. Remember here, this is how the Mughal dynasty was ruled. First it was constructed by Babur, his son Humayun, his son Akbar. So that in this manner it continued till even Aurangzeb. And remember, Aurangzeb ruled India for about nearly more than 50 years. So he is a son of his father, obviously we know. So in this manner only the India was ruled. When Aurangzeb was ruling India, so that he had to face the revolt of the Rajput Mewat, Rathors, Sikh, Jain, when especially from Marathas. So that in this manner so many battles took place between Mughal dynasty and other small kings, especially Mewat means Rajput, we can say. Marathas also they had to fight with the Aurangzeb, especially when Shivaji was the person who was very famous in India at the time. He had to wage a war with Aurangzeb. So today I would like to stop here only. In next video, the chapter will be covered. Thank you.